College is a time where many different people experience many different things, and each student has their own background, whether they're going to major in philosophy, MCJ, theater, arts. Each of these students possess their own strengths within their given majors. Sometimes being a college student takes a lot of your time, especially depending on your major. Sometimes that doesn't give you any options for working outside of school. So if you're lucky, you can find a job on campus. Otherwise, you're out of luck. However, there are some students who freelance. I'm going to show you two students who freelance in the MCJ department. I asked these students 4 big questions about their freelancing experience, and I also asked them for their information in case anyone wants to get a hold of them for their services.
So I got started originally with photography, and what happened there was I got a Canon Rebel T5i from my youth pastor at my church. And when I got that, I started to take photos. That is, of course, after my brother started to take photos. So I didn't really know a thing about cameras. My brother self-taught himself and asked around for people that already knew. So he kind of got the advice from other people, learned the skills, and then he taught me some of the basics from there. And both of us started to get into photography and take photos, especially of church services. And as I began to grow, I tried different cameras too, some much better cameras than that one. It's a great starter camera, but there's a lot better ones. And it was pretty inspiring to be able to use those cameras. And from there, I started to dive more into photography. Another thing too is that while I was in high school, I took a class at the Center for Advanced Research and Technology, known as CART. And it's a lab that you take in the morning or the evening, or morning or afternoon, and it's career technical education. So it's education for a particular career area. I took the graphic design lab there, so I kind of took a break from photography, videography a little bit, and delved into the graphic design principles and all that sort of stuff. So once I learned those things, I realized that I could combine photography, and then I started to dive into videography as well, and then graphic design I realized I could combine all of those to tell stories. So coming off the back of learning about these concepts, about being a media producer in general, I realized that I was actually starting to get kind of decent. I mean, I'm not trying to talk like I'm really good. Like, I learn stuff every day when I'm in the field doing media projects. But I realized that I actually feel pretty fulfilled but when helping people tell their stories. So what I realized is that when my brother had already started to pick up a couple of gigs making videos for different groups, I realized that I could join in on him in that mission and help him out. And so that's what it became, is we started to do freelance work together. Right now we do photos such as graduation photo shoots for high school and graduation. We do wedding photography. And we also do videos for nonprofits and corporations.
Well, I originally got started doing freelance when I was, I believe, a freshman in high school, if not in 8th grade. I got my hands on a camera, a relatively old Canon Rebel, and I was like, I needed money, and like I'm pretty decent at photography, so I took up some gigs, some small little mediocre gigs for the school, and then for like around the area of like little shops, doing advertisements, and that's how I started, and it just kept on growing since then. Right now I work with a few companies to do freelance for them. I do their videos as well as their promotion ads with photo. So yeah.
Balancing my freelance work with my college career can be tough at times, for sure, because there's especially some projects that call for very quick turnarounds. And not only am I a student at Fresno State, but I also have a job on campus at Fresno State as a student assistant that also involves media work. So it can be very demanding at times to try to juggle the different schedules, but I would say there's no secret formula to it. It's kind of just about taking one step at a time, one day at a time, and learning what it means to prioritize your schedule, what it means to take breaks so that you can be present and actually do your best job as a creative, because it's definitely very important, is taking breaks for yourself, because you can't give from an empty cup. And similarly with your creative talents, you can't give up you can't contribute your talents when you feel empty. And so it takes time. It's important to take time to rest.
The challenge is majority of the time like scheduling. Sometimes like a gig would pop up out of nowhere, and I can't really afford to miss it. And so sometimes I have to like put off going to school or like going to a class to do this gig. But a majority of the time when I make my schedule for Fresno State, for when I have classes, I am able to I'm able to schedule work in between my classes, if not days that I don't have class.
While freelancing, one of the big things I've learned is how to communicate with clients, and also the difference between what I want as a creative and how I want the project to turn out. There are specific goals or objectives I have in mind, thinking this would look cool to have in a video. I would like it this way. It's about balancing that with the practical things that the client actually wants. Because at the end of the day, the client is the person you're serving. So it's best to take that into consideration, and that should take priority over the creative input you want to give. And of course, it should also be considered that there are some things where you should overrule, because they are paying you for your creative expertise. So it's important not to short sell yourself in those areas, because sometimes you have to communicate to your client that maybe the reason they hired you is because of your specific outlook, your specific creative style. And so you can't diminish those things as well.
Time management and editing, because when I first started my freelance, I was unable to edit and or schedule like deadlines correctly. But now I'm able to. I have turnovers within the hour, if not within the day, between videos and photos. So I feel like starting at a young age, I was able to learn how to edit efficiently and with good quality.
I would say get started with friends. That's definitely where I'm at right now, is tapping into my social circles and seeing who needs what, and also what needs are in the community that I know right now, and also seeing how I can meet those needs through creative storytelling. And a lot of it also is about not being afraid to reach out and take initiative, for sure. Because there have been some times where I've gotten gigs just by discussing what I do with other people. And so there's been a couple of times where I said, oh, I do photography. And then they would say, oh, I'm getting married soon. Can you do my wedding? And so that's kind of how those situations can play out sometimes.
Just do it. Don't plan it out. Just go for it. Go to like your local, like a local shop or like a local restaurant in your area that you can find, or find a nonprofit and offer to do freelance for free, or like one video or like one photo shoot for free, just to get your like leg in the industry, because it is a very saturated industry, but also it's you're not gonna get nowhere if you stay quiet and you don't want to go out of your comfort zone.
Where can people get in touch with you?
It would be my personal email, Joel Zapata, JOELZAPATA, 559 @gmail.com. That is my work and personal email, I guess you would say. You can contact with me also through social media, through Joel's Rusty Productions, which is my Instagram handle.
You can follow me and my brother's Instagram at Donovan Dean Photo on Instagram. That's DONOVAN Dean Photo. And if you'd like to, you can also follow me at my personal account, which is Dakota Dean AV on Instagram.